Hello, everyone. My name is Sunny Panu, Investor Relations for Minaurum Silver. Thank you so much for joining us today on our webinar discussing our flagship Alamos Silver project, and more specifically, discussing our initial resource estimate that we announced on January 28th, 2026. This is a pivotal moment in the company's history and history of the project since we started exploration at Alamos. On the call today, I have our President and CEO, Mr. Darrell Rader, Steve Maynard, our VP of Exploration, and Mr. Ruben Molina, who is our Senior Project Manager at the Alamos project. So Minaurum Silver trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under MGG and on the OTCQX under MMRGF. We will be making forward-looking statements throughout the presentation, so please make sure to do your own due diligence before making any investment decisions. You can also contact us on our website, minaurum.com, and under our Contact Us page and ask any questions thereafter. As far as the introduction goes for the layout of the presentation, we'll be talking a brief background on the background of Minaurum Silver, followed by in-depth discussion of our Alamos Silver project introduction as well, a discussion by Steve Maynard on the geology of the project, and then we'll dive into a detailed discussion on our initial resource estimate, which totaled 555 million ounces of silver equivalent, grading 320 grams per ton silver equivalent is inferred. And then we'll talk about the objectives and our path to a resource update for the end of 2026, which we're currently have a 50,000 meter program underway, and to meet those objectives for the end of the year. And then we'll round it out with a summary of the presentation and our objectives going forward. As far as the team goes, for the purposes of the webinar, we have the core team here, including, as I mentioned earlier in the introductions, Mr. Darrell Rader, our President and CEO. He's been responsible for the corporate development, marketing, and financing of Minaurum Silver. Himself has been involved in financing over $130 million in funds raised for exploration, and one of the co-founders of Defiant Silver as well. He's been spearheading the direction of the company, followed by Stephen Maynard, our VP of Exploration. Both team members have been here since the inception of the company. He's has had an instrumental career, most notably being part of the team that was credited with discovery of the Çukur gold deposit in Turkey, which is now operated by Eldorado Gold, but his boots on the ground since the inception of exploration at Alamos, and very happy to have him on the call today. Followed by Mr. Ruben Molina, our most recent addition to the team here. We're very happy to have Ruben on board. Definitely adds a lot of depth to the technical expertise here that we have at Minaurum, more specifically to resource modeling. Ruben has worked directly with the Fear family and the Silvercrest family, with Silvercrest Metals 1.0 and 2.0 on Las Chispas and Santa Elena, and him and himself and his team have overseen over 500,000 meters of drilling and done the resource modeling. And in addition to that, those two projects have been very successful, very high grade discoveries that have led to very successful exit strategies, being acquired by First Majestic Silver and Kerr Mining. And lastly, myself, Sunny Panu, Investor Relations. I'm responsible for the investor relations and marketing activities at Minaurum. I'll now pass it off to our President and CEO, Darrell Rader.
Thank you, Sunny. One of the things we like to say about Alamos is that it is a standalone Tier 1 asset. When we put Minaurum together, originally, one of the objectives we had was to make district-scale discoveries in areas of good infrastructure. Obviously, the further away you are from infrastructure, the higher costs to develop and operate mines. So Alamos was one of these unique situations where we were in an area of paved highways, hydro dam nearby. There's high voltage electricity on the project. So it was a great area to make a discovery. We drilled, as Steve and Ruben will tell you, and have made a discovery. We've proven this is a district. And then one of the other things we worked alongside was taking care of some of the items that a potential acquirer wants to see someday. They want to see, of course, that you're fully permitted, that you have good community relations. And we're in a pretty unique position here with Alamos, where we are 100% fully permitted for underground mining. We have 30-year mining permits in place. We have 29-year agreements with the local communities at the project covering exploration through exploitation. As I mentioned as well, we have access to power, water, roads. This is a great project you're going to hear about, and it's located in a great area of infrastructure. On this slide, I'm just going to show you where the basic location is of the Alamos Silver Project. We are located in northern Mexico in the state of Sonora, which is a great state to work in. It has a lot of mines, as you can see on this slide, and a lot of majors and mid-tiers operating in it. We are located directly south of the Corvo del Mayo mine, which is Mexico's third largest open pit copper and silver mine. We're also located in the vicinity of Pan American Silver's Alamo Dorado mine, which used to be the primary production center for Pan American Silver. Moving on, I'm going to hand over to Steve, who's going to discuss the geology of the project.
Thank you, Darrell. Just as a note of introduction here, Minaurum came into the Alamos project in 2016. We started geological mapping and sampling on the project. At the time, we were aware of of three principal historical mines: the Promontorio, Quintera, and Minas Nuevas mines. And we were aware that, or from our understanding of the history of the district, that it had produced somewhere between 150 and 200 million ounces of silver from about 1680 until the Mexican Revolution, or about 1910. So we already knew a little bit about it. In our geological mapping over the next few years, we identified, in addition to those three main past producing vein zones, we identified a total of 26 separate vein zones on the project. These vein zones lie in a volcanic field that is deposited on top of a basement of batholithic granodiorite and granite, with some significant large roof pendants of limestone. And those limestones are going to become important when we start discussing the mineral resource here. But just as a hint, the veins are epithermal, intermediate sulfidation veins that cut the volcanic rocks and the basement rocks. And in the case of the limestones, there is carbonate replacement type mineralization associated with them. So we end up with a polymetallic deposit. Thank you for the next slide. We end up with a polymetallic set of veins. The main value is in silver, but we also have significant amounts of copper, lead, and zinc. The copper tends to go with the silver, and much of the mineralogy is in stromayerite, which is a copper-silver sulfide, and it's a kind of an unusual case in that respect. But there's also important acanthite. We occasionally see a little bit of native silver, and then in the base metal, the copper, of course, is in stromayerite. There is some chalcocite. There's a little bit of chalcopyrite, and the rest of the base metals, the lead and zinc, are in galena and in sphalerite. As you can see in the geological map on the left side of the screen here, the main trend of the vein zones is north-northeast. They're typically dipping steeply, but with the exception of the Europa and San Jose veins in the western part of the district that dip moderately to the east. The veins are found typically in bounding faults of horsts and grabens, demonstrating an extensional environment here. We believe that this extensional environment occurs in a resurgent. One theory or hypothesis about this is that it occurs in the apex of a dome, of a resurgent dome in a larger caldera complex. And as an illustration of the Horst and Graben concept, if we look on the the illustration in the center of the slide, you can see the EV is the volcanic event, and that's all these volcanic rocks, mainly andesitic breccias, volcanic breccias and flows. The CZ stands for limestone. That's caliza in Spanish, and the GR is for the granodiorite. To give you, this is a schematic illustration of the controls of veins. Note that we have there are veins that are within these fault blocks. And in some cases, we believe that these are blind. They are not exposed at the surface. And we have indeed found mineralization that is connected to, or we believe is connected to, veins that never crop out. So, the predominant lithologies are listed on the right there. So with that, what I'd like to do is pass this on to Ruben Molina, who will talk about the resource that we've developed with our drilling.
Thank you very much, Steve. The inaugural fully inferred resource for the Alamos project has been estimated on 13 individual veins from portions of 3 vein zones, being Promontorio, Travessia, which is on trend with Promontorio, and the Europa vein zones. Using a cutoff grade of 150 grams per ton silver equivalent, the metal content adds up to approximately 5.4 million tons at 202 grams per ton silver, 0.2 grams per ton gold, 0.4% copper, 1% lead, and 2% zinc, or 320 grams per ton silver equivalent. This adds up to approximately 55.2 million ounces silver equivalent contained in the project, again on a fully inferred category. The Promontorio and Travessia zones contain approximately 3.2 million tons at 140 grams per ton silver, 0.3 gold, 0.4% copper, 1.2% lead, and 2.5% zinc, for approximately 276 grams per ton silver equivalent and 28.7 million ounces of silver equivalent approximately. Europa zone contains 2.1 million tons at 295 grams per ton silver, 0.5% copper, 0.7% lead, and 1.3% zinc, or 386 grams per ton silver equivalent, for 26.5 million ounces of silver equivalent. The total silver content in the maiden resource is approximately 35 million ounces of silver only. The average grade of silver is 202 grams per ton. This represents the highest percentage of value in the project by a long margin. And the average space between the drill holes in this inaugural resource is 80 meters. 80 meter centers. This also includes local tighter distances on portions of the Promontorio vein zone. So the total value of this resource is approximately 60 to 70% on the silver, although Promontorio contains a significant portion of its value from the base metal. These resource numbers are taking in consideration economic parameters that include recoveries and refinery payables that we are anticipating. The sensitivities at different cutoff grades of the resource demonstrate high resilience of the metal content at higher cutoffs, while also showcasing great potential for ounces between 100 grams per ton and 150 grams per ton range that are connecting high-grade centers or high-grade chutes, and that are also proof of the very impressive geological continuity that these vein structures represent. The economic parameters chosen for the resource estimation have been selected to be conservative in nature to protect the model of natural uncertainties that exist at this stage of development. The metal prices correspond to the CIBC long-term consensus price for the project's commodities, which are on the most part significantly below spot market prices. The recoveries used to reflect a combination of the preliminary studies conducted by the company in 2024. You can refer back to our news release on April 9th, 2024, with assumptions used by peers with similar type of deposits in nearby parts of Mexico. An additional factor accounting for forecasted refinery payables was added to each individual commodity as well. The results from the 2024 round of testing showed positive recoveries for the project. These tests were composed of several. Can start again. Sorry. The results from the 2024 round of metallurgy testing showed positive recoveries for the project. These tests were composed of 7 total composites, which were 6 from drill core and 1 that was from extracted underground material from the Promontorio underground mine. These composites are from the Promontorio and Europa zones and have been selected to represent different grade ranges. The results showed consistent high precious metal recoveries with more variable base metal results, which are in line with other deposits of this type. These results are considered preliminary in kind and have a lot of room of improvement with process optimization. Another round of metallurgy tests is being prepared at the moment, with further results expected for later in the year. And this is the process that we take to de-risk the process, trying to get us to more supported metallurgy results. This is a long section of the Europa vein zone, representing right now the Europa main vein, which contains most of the ounces of the zone. The footprint of the inaugural resource is a little bit over 900 meters along strike. This also is about 400 meters on height. And the average spacing of the drill holes in this area is between 80 to 100 meters. This resource is high grade. This is a zone that has on average about 380 grams per ton of silver equivalent. And it also contains an important copper component due to the mineralogy relationship that it presents with silver in the form of stromayerite or other relationships like chalcocite with acanthite and other sulfide combinations. The most amount of ounces on this resource is located in high-grade chutes that steep deeply to the northwest, and have also demonstrated very good continuity on the horizontal direction, showcased by the distances between hole 7 and hole 135, which is almost 500 meters of distance of very impressive grades. This resource remains open both along strike and to depth, and the Europa vein is currently being one of the highest priorities in the focus of the Phase 2 drill program, which is aiming at the expansion of this resource, both to the northwest and to the southeast. The Travesía Promontorio zone, which are on trend of each other, have combined approximately 1.5 kilometers of strike length in our inaugural resource. Similar to Europa, the most amount of ounces here are contained on high-grade chutes that are deeping in this case steeply to the southeast. The high-grade centers of this resource that are located around some historic workings have been drilled at a tighter spacing, and this is due to a combination of testing historical workings. At the same time, some holes have been used for services for extracting water from underground from drilling, and also just for exploration extension of the mineralized zones. These areas also are currently open and are also being targeted by our Phase 2 program because they present a very high opportunity for resource expansion, especially along strike, although also to depth. Our phase 2 program, which is what we're calling our path to 100 million ounces, is focusing on 6 vein zones and over 500 kilometers of strike length, which is more evident even when we consider that these vein zones all contain multiple veins per zone. We are targeting this expansion to be also on the inferred resource classification. So we are targeting an approximate expansion of 80 meters of spacing between drill holes for the resource addition. We are using a very aggressive program with 4 drill rigs active and 2 more drill rigs to be added at the moment. And although the current focus of this program is to extend the currently in resource vein zones like Promontorio, Travesía, and Europa, there are other vein zones that are very high priority that have demonstrated economic grades through drilling in previous rounds of exploration and that we will be targeting to add into our resource portfolio, like San Jose, Quintera, Pulpito Cotera, and Minas Nuevas zone, as well as Promontorio Sur. This program is on its way, and we're expecting to release an updated resource on the second part of this year. Additionally to the drilling of these veins, more programs for earlier exploration stages on other vein zones is being planned, like geophysics and sampling, mapping, and other kind of exploration programs for preparing for the drill stage. This long section of the Travesía Promontorio zone showcases our focus for the phase 2 program. Aside from the resource footprint that we already have, the strike length of this structure remains open and has been mapped for over 3 kilometers on full strike length from where we only have a portion in resource. So you can see yellow stars that represent conceptual drill targets, showing that we intend to continue testing these structures below the current resource zones, as well as continue to stepping out along strike. We currently have two drill rigs focused on this area. The current resource contains 21 drill holes for 21,000 meters in this area, and has intersected over five sub-parallel veins. This is the long section that we're seeing right now is the Travesía vein and Beta Grande vein, but they all both contain hanging wall and footwall veins that represent significant importance for resource development. Next is a long section of La Quintera vein zone. This vein zone is historically the highest ounce producer from the project. And this big amount of ounces was extracted from a relatively small footprint. This is because the vein zone has a very strong width, and when you are inside of the chutes, it historically has very high silver grades. We have seen this kind of remnant mineralization in other portions of the vein around old workings, and know that the old timers were selective on its mining. So we are focusing right now in extending these high-grade chutes to depth on unmined portions, while at the same time testing systematically in the search for additional unmined high-grade chutes that could represent a big resource expansion for us if we can tag into one of these. So this program is still on its early stages, but it is a high importance program for the project. The total strike length that has been mapped on surface on this vein is over 1 kilometer long, but it still has the opportunity of continuing for a longer strike length as a blind vein, signaled by some surface expressions that we can see. Next, we have a long section of the Europa Guadalupe vein zone showing the objectives of the phase 2 program. The maiden resource is located on approximately 1 kilometer of strike length of the Europa main vein, but it remains open on both the north and the south extension of the vein zone. for more than 1.5 kilometers. Step-out drilling started in this vein zone last year and has already intersected very good grades at very good widths outside of the resource zone, which gave great encouragement for the expansion of the resource in the vein zone that has already been demonstrated through the drill bit. The highlight of this being hole AL25163, which intersected 12.3 meters at 400 grams per ton, including over 3 meters at over a kilo of silver. This is located 250 meters outside of the resource, and we are right now focusing on both continue to step out aggressively to tag into more high-grade zones, while at the same time dedicating resources to infill the area around this intersection to bring into the resource appropriate spaces. We have currently drill rigs focused on the south expansion, and more moving back to the north to continue expanding on that side as well. And we'll be waiting for these results with great excitement. This is a cross section through hole 163. What we are seeing in this drill hole is high-grade mineralization hosted fully within the granodiorite. This generates great excitement because previously we thought that the granodiorite would be not a very good host for mineralization, but this has been proven inaccurate through the drill bit. So this opens a big area for expansion for us where we can target, knowing that we can still see high-grade mineralization in the granodiorite. So one of the previously thought boundaries has been erased and is now wide open for exploration. In this cross-section, you can see the relationship of the Europa main vein with its hanging wall vein and with other hanging wall veins that are also contained on this vein zone, as well as the Nueva Europa vein, which is on the back, approximately 300 meters behind the Europa main vein, and that also contains some high-grade intercepts in the resource, and it's another target for expansion. Other vein zones that we are targeting for the phase 2 drill program or exploration program in general include Alessandra, Cotera, San Jose, and Minas Nuevas, which will be in another slide. This proves the reality that there are several vein zones in this project that are not related to the vein zones that are currently in resource that have already demonstrated good widths and grades, and that are very important targets for us for resource expansion. Some of these targets already have a defined footprint that we have to go and infill, basically to bring into resource. So it gives us a very good indication of where to move forward in order to bring in more ounces into the project. These include, for example, Alessandra, which is in the southern part of the project. Right now, the footprint is approximately 750 by 750 meters along strike and down dip, and is still open for expansion. Also, Cotera, which is on the northern side of the project, which is part of a system that contains multiple other veins like Pulpito, Cotera 2, and other secondary veins, have intersected high-grade silver mineralization. This is a silver dominant portion of the project, and we have a drill program planned there to bring into our resource. Also, San Jose, which is on the western edge of the project, is a 2.5 kilometer feature that has been mapped and that has been drilled and had success in different portions of the vein. So it is a very important target for us as well. This includes very strong thicknesses like what we see in hole 15 with 12 meters of 200 grams per ton, and also higher grades like hole 92, where we have 4 meters of 341 grams per ton of silver equivalent. So these are areas that will be key for resource expansion to come in later in the year, as well as in future years. Minas Nuevas is one of the northernmost targets that we have. This is a silver dominant zone, similar to Cotera and Pulpito, which was historically mined in very limited footprint and extracted a very significant amount of ounces. This is due to the high-grade nature of this deposit, and also to significant widths that were mined by the historic miners. This has been already been tagged to by drill hole AL2199, which intersected almost 10 meters of 995 grams per ton silver equivalent, and remains wide open for expansion. So we plan to come into this vein zone and continue expanding from hole 99, as well as testing other potential zones for new high-grade shoots. I will now be passing this back to Darrell. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ruben. Just to basically summarize what our objectives are here, as we've sort of reiterated on this call today, on this webinar, that we have put out our maiden resource that was on only a small portion of the outstanding vein systems that we've discovered. We've discovered over 26 separate vein zones. We've drilled 19. 13 of them have returned high-grade results, and only 3 of those targets went into that 50 million ounce maiden resource. So we have, moving ahead and looking forward to the second half of the year, we have a lot of growth left in our existing targets. We have a lot of targets that we've had high-grade results in, but we don't have the drill density to move them into a resource category. That's going to change over the next 6 months here. And as we also mentioned, we're fully financed for a 50,000 meter drill program that's currently underway. We just got drill results out about a week and a half ago, and we have a lot more results to come. Other items, milestones that sort of keep your eyes peeled for are things such as metallurgical testing results. We're in the middle of a larger program that's testing both oxide and sulfide mineralization, as well as maximizing recoveries of base metals, namely copper, zinc, and lead, which are in the mineralization. So a lot of news flow to come, and a lot of news to come out before PDAC, after PDAC. So look forward to getting these news releases out, and look forward to hearing from our shareholders.
Well, thank you everyone for being on the webinar, having the time to review our resource estimate that we announced in January. Thanks everyone here on the call: Steve Maynard, VP of Exploration; Ruben Molina, our project manager at Alamos; and our Darrell Rader, our president and CEO. I really appreciate the time to discuss this monumental shift in the company's history and the project, and look forward to additional news in the several months to come. If you want to get in touch with us, please contact us. You can visit our website at minaurum.com, or you can contact me directly at our phone line, as indicated on the slide here. Again, we trade on the TSX Venture under symbol MGG, or on the OTCQX under ticker symbol MMRGF.